Hey guys, tonight we're embarking on a sweet journey back in time to ancient Egypt, where the desert sun-bathed golden fields dotted with tall, waving flax and blooming wildflowers, a place where honey wasn't just a treat, but a cornerstone of life and health. As you picture bees buzzing merrily between vibrant blossoms, ask yourself, would you have survived a day without being treated to the delights of honey? Spoiler alert, you probably won't survive this historical dive, but I promise it'll be sweeter than you think. So, before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. And feel free to share your location and local time in the comments. I'd love to connect a bit. Now, dim the lights, maybe turn on a fan for that soft background and let's ease into tonight's journey together. In ancient Egypt, honey was more cherished than just about anything else, except perhaps the Nile, which was vital for survival. This golden treat was not only a staple in their diets, but also held immense medicinal value. Imagine yourself in an Egyptian market, bustling with activity, colorful spices, and the sweet aroma of honey wafting through the air, enticing you to sample the offerings. You can almost see people dashing about, traders shouting, and the sound of laughter melding with the soft background buzz of bees enjoying their work. The Egyptians classified honey as a divine gift. It was said to be born from the tears of the sun god Ra, which certainly raises a question. How could they resist such sweetness? Historians believe that honey was sometimes offered to pharaohs to ensure their good favor and prosperity. It was carefully stored in clay pots, craftily sealed to preserve its magic. So, you can imagine how vital honey was in a society that placed reverence at the center of their existence. Being an ancient civilization that adored sugar, they weren't shy about utilizing honey in everything, from baking sweetbreads to mixing it into savory stews. It spiced up their meals like no other, and its sweetness was a stark contrast to the typically bland staples of the time. Researchers note that honey has natural antibacterial properties, which likely explains renowned status as a medicinal aid. It didn't just taste good, also helped heal the sick. But here's a quirky tidbit. The Egyptians believed honey could treat a wealth of ailments, from soothing a sore throat to treating wounds, much like we might use it today. The liquid gold was also a vital ingredient in the drink of the gods, which was an alcoholic beverage made by fermenting honey, water, and grains. This intoxicating concoction played a significant role in Egyptian festivities, likely leading to some rather memorable celebrations. Who doesn't love a good honey-enhanced party? Historians still argue whether honey's medicinal prowess was fully understood or if it was simply folklore that evolved through the ages. In either case, honey thrived in the pyramids of bustling bazaars, serving both the sick and the thirsty alike. It was so prized that even Tut-Tut, the pharaoh's cat, was likely privy to a dab of honey now and then. After all, you don't just let the most revered treat go unnoticed, do you? As you settle into this soothing narrative, imagine how comforting it must have been to partake in a world where the sun warmed the land, allowing bees to do their vital work. Remember, honey wasn't merely a sweetener. To the ancient Egyptians, it was almost a sacred elixir, a potion fine enough to bless both their bodies and the very souls of their civilization. So take a deep breath. Let the soothing whisper of this storytelling wash over you, and settle comfortably back as we continue our exploration of how honey shaped the lives and health of the ancients. As we drift deeper into the world of ancient Egypt, let's uncover the myriad health benefits that made honey the centerpiece of their medicinal repertoire. Imagine being a healer in a bustling Egyptian town, where you're surrounded by colorful papyrus scrolls filled with remedies and knowledge passed down through generations. In this setting, honey isn't just a fleeting sweetener. It's a vital ingredient honed through centuries of use. Its thick, golden substance dazzles under the sun, promising health and vitality. Honey's treasured status was no fluke. Ancient Egyptians recognized its natural preservative qualities long before modern science caught up. When you think of honey, what comes to mind? Sweets, maybe? But much more than a delicacy, honey was believed to be an actual medicine, used to treat various ailments ranging from coughs to digestive issues. Can you imagine slathering this sugary substance on a dry piece of bread for breakfast, knowing it might help stave off illness? It's sweet medicine and breakfast all in one. Standards set for measuring health in ancient Egypt were quite different from what we know today, far from our scientifically validated methods. They didn't have the luxury of modern hospitals. Instead, They turned to nature's bounty, blending honey with other herbs, minerals, and even animal products to concoct potions that they believed could cure just about anything. For instance, honey mixed with crushed garlic was used for its antiseptic properties, as garlic was known to ward off infections. This delightful mixture, while perhaps less than appetizing to our modern taste buds, was viewed as a health elixir back then. As you lean into this narrative, remember that honey had many other applications, too. For instance, it was often mixed with milk to soothe stomach ailments or combined with essential oils and balms for skin problems. Honey's importance in personal care cannot be underestimated, as it was a fundamental component not just for the sick, but for beautifying rituals among the wealthy. Imagine the soft, fragrant scent of honey and oils wafting through the air as aristocratic women adorn themselves with beauty treatments, skin so soft it glimmers in the desert sun. On a quirkier note, did you know that Egyptians even believed honey could spark love? It was often included in wedding meals as an aphrodisiac. That could explain why so many couples likely had smiles on their faces during their honey-drizzled banquets, sweetness fueling the festivity and romance of the occasion. Historians still argue whether this perspective was grounded in some element of truth or just folklore grown sweeter with the years. While honey was celebrated for its healing powers, it was the ingenuity of ancient Egyptians that made them pioneers in medicine. They meticulously recorded their findings on papyrus scrolls, documenting cases of recovery attributed to honey. Can you picture them, writing feverishly, tucked away in their sun-drenched homes, compiling knowledge that will lay the foundation for generations to come? Such a diligent and creative spirit, fueled by a commitment to well-being. So now, as you cozy back into a relaxed state, notice how the ancient belief in honey as a natural remedy has woven itself into the fabric of history. The vibrant markets filled with aromatic spices, and the laughter of families indulging in sweet honey desserts fill your mind. Feel the warmth of the sun envelop you as you envision honey's golden hue lighting up their world. Their lives infused with its sweetness, just as you might find comfort in it today. Now, let's continue our adventure into the daily lives of the ancient Egyptians, where honey played a pivotal role beyond just health. As we venture further into the daily lives of the ancient Egyptians, it's remarkable to see how honey transcended mere medicine to become a staple ingredient, enriching their culinary traditions and practices. Picture yourself standing in a sunlit kitchen filled with bubbling pots and tantalizing aromas. The scent of baked goods lingers in the air, whetting your appetite, while the cheerful chatter of eager family members fills the space. It's a scene bursting with life, and at the center of it all lies the beloved golden nectar. Honey. In ancient Egypt, food was far more than sustenance. It was ritual, expression, and community. Honey, with its luscious sweetness, was prominently featured in various recipes. Imagine biting into freshly baked honey cakes or sipping honey-infused beverages. What a delight that must have been. It was often used to sweeten everyday foods, making plain dishes like bread and porridge a treat. It was not just used in desserts. Honey found its way into savory dishes too. Can you envision a bowl of lentil stew, finished off with a subtle drizzle of honey, blending savory and sweet to perfection? How unique that must have been. The Egyptians cultivated a rich and diverse diet, and honey played a remarkably versatile role. It served not only as an ingredient, but also as a condiment and a preservative. Honey was often mixed with vinegar, oil, and various spices to create flavorful dips to accompany bread and vegetables. This taste sensation must have transported the eaters far beyond the confines of their lives. It's quirky to think that what the ancient Egyptians were enjoying in their meals is echoes in some modern dishes we delight in today. In fact, honey was served at all levels of society, weaving its way into both the grand feasts of the elite and the simple meals of everyday workers. Imagine craftsmen returning home after a long day, sharing a meal sweetened with honey with their families. It fostered happy moments, a sense of community built around shared meals. Historians still argue about the extent to which honey influenced social hierarchies. Was it reserved as an exclusive treat, or was it truly accessible? However, what remained clear was its universal appeal. As you breathe in this warm, inviting atmosphere, acknowledge that honey was believed to possess not just culinary advantages, but also a sense of comfort. It added warmth to rituals of hospitality, symbolizing welcome as guests were often presented with sweetened offerings. Visualize the joyous faces around a table, relishing the festivities and laughter, a thread of connection binding them to the simplicity of sweetness. Honey was often featured in religious rites and community celebrations, where its presence signaled abundance and prosperity. The art of the ancient Egyptians wasn't just confined to temples and tombs. It found expression in the daily lives of the colorful tapestries of their society. Can you picture temple priests drizzling honey over offerings dedicated to the gods? It created a divine connection between the earthly and the celestial, ensuring that honey was not simply trustingly consumed, but revered. Now that the comforting warmth of honey gatherings fills your thoughts, let yourself lean into this rich narrative, a tapestry woven from the lives and history of ancient Egyptians. Each thread is sweetened by honey, a reminder how essential this ingredient was to their identity. As we continue to explore the social dynamics of ancient Egypt, keep in mind that everything flourished surrounding the sweet embrace of honey, keeping hearts and homes bonded together. Now, let's turn our attention to the striking contrast between the lives of the pharaohs and the common folk in ancient Egypt. But surprise, surprise, both groups shared a fondness for honey. Imagine a vast kingdom where glittering temples rise toward the sky, their walls adorned with images of gods, while at the same time, humble mud brick homes shelter families who work tirelessly in the fields. In this tapestry of life, one sweet thread binds the rich and the poor alike. Honey. For the pharaohs, honey symbolized wealth and indulgence. It adorned the luxurious feasts held in grand banquets, where the sweet liquefied gold was lavished on a myriad of dishes, creating culinary masterpieces fit for divine gatherings. Picture a royal table overflowing with honeyed meats, pastries, and fruits, while entertained guests recline on plush cushions, discussing matters of the kingdom, their laughter echoing through the opulent halls. You can almost taste the blend of flavors and the sweetness of joy. Interestingly, the common folk were just as adept at finding ways to enjoy honey, albeit in simpler and more modest manners. Hearts warmed by the realization that this golden delight was accessible even to those who toiled under the Egyptian sun add a layer of sweetness to our story. You can imagine the smiles as they gathered together to share their meals, steeped in warmth and connection. Families would savor honey flatbreads, where the sweet touch of honey transformed basic sustenance into something celebratory. In a particularly amusing twist, historians have noted that honey was often used in practical jokes, too. Think of honey-coated sticks being humorously employed to playfully prank unsuspecting family members. Imagine a family gathering where that famous stick of honey becomes a source of laughter, their bond strengthened amidst chuckles and delight. It's beautiful to reflect on how humor and joy marked even the lives of the laborers, a reminder that sweetness existed even in the simplest moments. Historians still argue whether honey was regarded strictly as a luxury item for the elite, or if it was genuinely integrated into the everyday lives of common people. While socioeconomic disparities certainly existed in ancient Egypt, honey served as an equalizer, granting both rich and poor a delectable taste of sweetness that brought a smile to their faces. As your imagination soars through the differing lifestyles, consider how honey's role reached beyond culinary delights and economic exchanges. It wrapped around the social fabric, connecting people from various walks of life. Envision the festivals that punctuated the calendar year, where a sense of community blossomed over abundant tables laden with honey-infused goodies, reminders of industrious spirits celebrating with gratitude. Even in the heat of the day, as families worked the land or crafted their wares, honey lingered in their minds, a sweet reward waiting at the end of the day's toil. Can you hear the soft rustle of the reeds by the Nile, the buzz of busy bees delivering their gifts of sweetness amid all of this hustle? Such a delightful and uplifting vision. And so, as we float gently from one aspect of this fascinating culture to another, keep in mind that the ancient Egyptians' appreciation for honey colored not just their meals, but their lives. Each bite enveloped them in tradition, connecting everyone, from the humblest farmer to the most powerful pharaoh, through a shared belief in honey's divine magic. Let's see where this enchanting nectar leads us next as we dive into the trade and economy of this great civilization, where honey flowed like the mighty Nile. As we gently glide into the bustling world of trade and economy in ancient Egypt, imagine the vibrant markets filled with flurry of sounds, colors, and delightful aromas, vendors hawking their wares, chattering customers, and the soft hum of bees waiting to indulge in the sweet nectar that fuels this remarkable society. Honey, in all its golden glory, played a vital role in this kaleidoscopic exchange of goods, interconnecting communities along the banks of the Nile. Picture the rows of stalls, each displaying a unique bounty. Here a vendor might showcase fragrant spices. There an artisan craftsman presents carefully created pottery, and nestled among it all, jars of honey glimmer in the sun. This revered substance wasn't merely sweetening lives. It was a key player in the economy, establishing trade networks that reached far beyond Egypt's borders. Can you imagine the excitement of a merchant navigating the winding trade routes, perhaps loaded with honey to exchange for precious goods like incense or exotic spices? The trade in honey was vital, particularly since it was regarded as a luxury item well suited for bartering. Egyptian merchants often transported honey to neighboring regions, leading to exchanges that cemented affection for this beloved treat across cultures. As honey flowed along the trade routes, it prompted cultural exchanges and collaboration with societies that sweetened their lives in other ways. Interestingly, the delicate art of beekeeping flourished alongside this commerce. Honey wasn't simply something one could pick up in a jar. It required labor and skill. Beekeepers cared for hives, strategically placing gardens. Imagine their pride as they harvested these precious resources, raising the praise of honeybees like modern-day guardians of sweetness. Not only did beekeeping contribute to the economy, but also secured the importance of bees in Egyptian spirituality and agriculture. Historians still argue about the exact extent of trade relations in the ancient world, but one thing is certain. Honey was a significant catalyst, allowing diverse cultures to share and expand their culinary repertoires. The exchange was mutually beneficial, as it introduced various honey-based recipes that blended seamlessly into local customs. Can you hear the sizzling of honey-glazed fish in distant Mediterranean kitchens as the influence broadened? With honey touching distant lands, it created a melting pot of flavors along trade routes. Small communities and vast empires alike embrace honey, fostering connections through shared tastes. Just picture how a simple jar of honey could traverse vast distances, moving from the hands of an Egyptian merchant to enrich the meals of foreign lands, bringing people closer despite geographical divides. And let's not forget about the icing on the cake. Literally, honey was also used in tomb offerings and burial practices, reinforcing its place in the life and afterlife of the Egyptians. During funerary rituals, jars of honey were often included as provisions for the journey to the afterlife, highlighting its significance in not only feeding the hungry between realms, but also symbolizing abundance. So as you contemplate this fascinating layer of trade winding seamlessly through ancient society, let yourself savor the ambition and adaptability the Egyptians had in developing a thriving economy, one where honey flowed like the currents of the Nile, bridging cultures, enriching lives, and enhancing the cuisine of all who encountered it. With this knowledge tucked away, let's transform our gaze toward the fascinating healing practices of the ancient world, where honey's magic worked wonders in both the body and the soul. As we journey further along the soothing path of honey's legacy, let's dive into the fascinating realm of healing practices within ancient Egyptian medicine, where honey emerged as a go-to remedy for an array of ailments. Picture yourself stepping into a bustling ancient clinic, adorned with colorful murals and filled with the scent of various herbs. In this center of healing, medical practitioners would skillfully integrate honey into their therapeutic regimens, treating everything from cuts and bruises to digestive issues and fevers. The popularity of honey transcended its flavor. It was prized for its remarkable natural properties. Honey is a humectant, which means it retains moisture, making it vital for wound care. As you visualize these ancient healers delicately applying honey to injuries, consider how this simple, sticky substance served as a protective barrier, guarding wounds from infection. You can almost feel how they would calmly assure patients that nature had provided a solution, a harmonious blend of sweetness and healing. Within these ancient practices, honey was often combined with other ingredients to enhance its efficacy. For instance, honey mixed with fenugreek might have served to ease respiratory ailments. Imagine a tired patient being offered a warm concoction of honey and herbs, breathing in the soothing aroma as they hoped for relief. The gentle whispers of the healers comforted patients, assuring them that nature would heal them, and honey stood as a steadfast ally on that journey. Interestingly, tomb inscriptions reveal a rich tapestry of treatments where honey took center stage. It was used in poultices, balms, and syrups, each concoction designed to tackle specific symptoms. The Egyptians learned through observation, experimenting with various combinations that brought a tapestry of healing relief. Can you picture scribes diligently transcribing these remedies onto papyrus rolls, each character representing knowledge preserved for future seekers of relief? While honey's benefits were widely recognized, historians still argue about the exact methods of ancient medical practitioners and how widespread the use of honey truly was. This sparks curiosity. Were there parts of Egypt where honey was used more than others? But one thing stands out clearly. Honey's reputation as a healing balm transcended social classes. Everyone, rich and poor alike, could count on its soothing embrace. But even amidst this magical realm of honey, we must acknowledge the quirks of ancient medicine. Some treatments exhibited a strange blend between practices steeped in superstition and those grounded in practical knowledge. For example, honey might have been combined with more questionable ingredients like crocodile dung, a common remedy in certain contexts. Yes, you heard that right. Can you picture villagers chuckling as they discuss the absurdities of their ancestors' remedies? Such fanciful but often humorous traditions remind us that human folly has always existed alongside wisdom. The ancient Egyptians crafted a medical system that was an intriguing mix of science and art, helping create an expansive understanding of the human body. Now, we can almost imagine the colorful conversations that would take place in the corridors of these ancient clinics as practitioners debated the effectiveness of honey entangled with far odder concoctions. And as you settle into this historical perspective, think about the richness of experience that surrounded honey in healing. With tendrils of aroma swirling together in this warm atmosphere, honey represented not just food and remedy. It was a blend of culture, nature, and practical wisdom that encapsulated ancient Egyptian society so beautifully. Now, as you feel the lingering warmth of honey-soaked memories enveloping you, let's shift our focus to the fascinating connections between honey and the gods, an exploration of how these divine associations shaped a spiritual narrative in the land of the pharaohs. As we delve into the divine connections between honey and the gods of ancient Egypt, picture yourself in a sprawling temple dedicated to the deities of the Nile, while towering statues loom overhead, telling stories of glory and divinity. The soft flicker of oil lamps casts an ethereal glow, illuminating the beautifully carved hieroglyphs that celebrate the sacred relationships between the Egyptians and their pantheon of gods. In this evocative setting, honey took on a meaning far beyond its role as a sweetener. It became a symbol of divine favor and blessing. The ancient Egyptians believed that honey was an offering from the gods, a luscious gift bestowed upon humanity. In fact, the sun god Ra was said to weep honey, and thus, the sweetness became a direct connection to the divine. Can you imagine priests carefully collecting bowls of honey during rituals, holding them aloft as they sang hymns of gratitude? It represented more than just nourishment. It was a vessel through which they sought to maintain a connection with the celestial realm. Honey was commonly used in offerings made to various gods, symbolizing a rich abundance that mortals offer to the divine in hope of goodwill. Picture a grand festival, where priests splash honey over altars, perhaps as a way to curry favor with the gods, each sticky droplet a heartfelt plea for prosperity and protection. The aroma would fill the air, beckoning the attentiveness of the deities above as they embraced the delicacy eagerly. Interestingly, honey played a dual role within this sacred context. Not only was it an offering, but it also figured prominently in the preparation of medicines meant to appease the gods or heal the body. Imagine a devoted believer, their heart brimming with hope, seeking divine intervention from a particular deity to cure an ailment. They would sprinkle honey on special herbs, invoking mystical rites and whispering prayers while mixing these substances together. It was an invocation of nature married with spirituality. Wonderfully poetic, wouldn't you say? While honey's importance in rituals and offerings was widely accepted, historians still argue over the full extent of its significance in various religious practices. Some suggest that honey may have held specific cultural meanings in different regions of Egypt, leading communities to develop unique variations on how they honored their gods. The ways in which honey transcended mere nourishment to become a spiritual bridge is fascinating to ponder. As you sink deeper into this historical narrative, reflect on how honey's divine associations would have shaped the cultural identity of the ancient Egyptians. Can you hear the echoes of hymns sung in unison, imbued with the hope of honey promises? Each ritual and offering reaffirmed their faith and loyalty, bringing sweetness not only to their meals but also to their relationships with the divine. Furthermore, the Egyptian goddess Hathor, goddess of love, beauty, and fertility, was profoundly linked to honey. Imagine how reverently she was celebrated, adorned in gold, her representations often featuring honey and other sweet treats as symbols of joy and abundance. Can you picture gatherings in honor of Hathor, where honey flowed freely, symbolizing love and connection? Such moments radiated warmth and community, enhancing the sweetness of life, intertwined beautifully with devotion. So now, as we weave our way through these honeyed tales of the divine, remember how essential honey was, not just as a substance, but as a path to understanding spirituality among the Egyptians. Feel the pulse of honey running through their culture, with its sticky threads binding together daily life and divine purpose. Let's continue to explore the rich tapestry of ritual within the civilization, focusing next on the important role honey played in their offerings, further enriching the spiritual ambience in the land of the pharaohs. Now, let's immerse ourselves deeper into the sweet world of honey through the lens of religious rituals and offerings, where it played a pivotal role in the sacred customs of ancient Egypt. Picture yourself standing at the edge of a bustling temple courtyard, overflowing with life as priests prepare an array of ceremonial offerings, the sun shimmering down on them like a golden blessing. The air is thick with anticipation, and the fragrant scent of sweet honey mingles with incense, creating an intoxicating atmosphere that promises divine connection. In the spiritual landscape of ancient Egypt, offerings were fundamental in communicating with the gods. Honey, with its status as a symbol of abundance and sweetness, found its way into countless rituals and ceremonies. Can you envision the excitement of priests meticulously preparing altars covered in honey delicacies, including honey cakes and sweet fruits? Those offerings would glisten invitingly, each delicious morsel a heartfelt gesture directed toward the heavens. During sacred festivals, honey took on an extraordinary significance. Imagine crowds gathering, united in fervent devotion as the priests intoned blessings and longings for favor from the gods. Honey was often offered alongside other items, such as grains, wine, and flowers. The combination created a sensory feast that celebrated life and prosperity. It's fascinating to think how each ingredient had its own symbolism, yet honey's sweet touch represented the luxurious rewards granted by the divine. One particularly whimsical custom involved the creation of honey offerings presented directly to the deities. Special honey cakes were crafted with shapes representing the gods themselves. Picture priests artfully molding dough infused with honey and spices into creatures and figures, all while reciting prayers and invoking blessings. Can you imagine the delight that must have brought the community as they gathered to witness these sweet creations? Historians still debate the exact nature of these rituals, sparking questions about how honey offerings evolved over time. Were there local variations across different regions of Egypt? How did cultural exchanges along trade routes influence these practices? Regardless of the specifics, honey unarguably stood as a beloved element of worship, bridging the traditional and the divine. The care with which these offerings were prepared reflects a deep respect for both honey and the gods it represented. Additionally, honey was used in funerary rites, often included in burial offerings to ensure the deceased would experience sweetness in the afterlife. Just imagine the serene beauty of tomb offerings adorned with jars of honey, lovingly placed to accompany loved ones on their journey into the realm of eternity. The significance of honey as a sacred offering may seem a small detail at first, but encapsulated the essence of life, death, and rebirth in ancient Egypt. For them, it was not merely a sweet treat. It was a token of care and reverence. As the evening sun cast golden hues over the temple, consider how deeply honey was woven into the very fabric of their cultural expressions and spiritual beliefs. Now, as the aroma of honey offerings dances through your thoughts, take a moment to reflect on this blend of sweetness and sanctity. With honey serving as a delicious bridge between the mortal and the divine, we can understand how it nurtured their relationships with the gods while enriching communal bonds. Let's move forward to explore some of the more unexpected and unconventional uses for honey that might take you by surprise, a glimpse into the quirky side of this sweet substance within ancient Egyptian life. As we step away from the solemn rituals and divine offerings, let's venture into the more unconventional uses of honey in the lives of ancient Egyptians. Picture yourself in a lively marketplace where vendors tout their goods with fervent energy, and there's a palpable buzz of excitement around the stalls. Amidst colorful fabrics and aromatic spices, imagine a vendor enthusiastically demonstrating the remarkable properties of honey, not just for sweetness, but for beauty, health, and yes, even the odd bit of mischief. Honey's versatility was astonishing, making it a prized resource in countless unexpected applications. For starters, it wasn't merely revered for its flavor. It played an integral role in personal care and beauty regimens. Imagine a young woman carefully applying a honey mask, believing it would brighten her complexion and invigorate her skin. Honey's natural humectant properties helped retain moisture, promoting a radiance that was sought after in the dry desert climate. Who would want that soft glow shining through the morning sun? Interestingly enough, honey mixed with milk was a favored beauty balm, intended to soothe and embellish skin. It must have been quite an amusing sight, with women playfully dabbling in honey concoctions, giggling as they experimented with potions that might make them feel a bit more like queens of the Nile, and maybe smell even sweeter than a fresh bouquet of flowers. And speaking of unconventional uses, you would enjoy knowing that honey even made its way into arrangements of the household, acting as a natural insect repellent. Imagine their surprise and relief when they discovered that this sticky substance could ward off pesky flies and other critters without resorting to harsh chemicals. Another quirky use of honey involved mummification practices. Imagine embalmers skillfully using honey, believing it had specific preservative qualities that contributed to the eternal life of the deceased. Honey was sometimes applied to body in strategic ways, complementing the elaborate process that ensured safe passage to the afterlife. It's fascinating to consider this dual purpose, both as an ingredient for life enhancement and as a means for preserving life beyond death. Historians still debate the effectiveness of honey's use in these contexts. Did it truly contribute to longevity of mummies, or was it simply part of a grand belief system? However, the assumption of its beneficial qualities certainly amplified its allure, as it wrapped the deceased in layers of sweetness mixed with reverence. Perhaps the most delightful quirk is that honey was often associated with children, as it was thought to bring good luck and maintain their health. Can you picture a gathering of families sharing stories of their little ones, while perhaps giving children honey as a sweet reward for good behavior? This tradition of embedding honey in the everyday lives of children brought a feeling of joy and comfort, ensuring that sweetness wasn't just reserved for grand occasions, but available even in the ordinary moments of life. And as you let these unconventional uses roll through your mind, think about how honey infused laughter, care, and a pinch of charm into the daily fabric of these ancient lives. Its indispensable nature invites memories, anecdotes, and facts that underpin the warmth of their communities, knitting them together with threads of sweetness. Continuing on our journey, let's shed light on another fascinating aspect of how honey transformed the senses, notably into the realm of perfumery. We'll explore how honey's delightful aromas and properties contribute to the art of scent-making in ancient Egypt, adding an extra layer of allure to this golden substance's fascinating legacy. As we transition into the fragrant world of ancient perfumery, imagine stepping into an Egyptian apothecary, the air thick with sweet and exotic scents, an intoxicating landscape of floral notes and spice. In the midst of this aromatic wonderland, honey takes on yet another role, an essential ingredient in crafting perfumes that would both enchant the senses and elevate one's social standing. Picture skilled artisans carefully blending honey with fragrant oils and fragrant herbs, creating olfactory masterpieces. Honey's natural sweetness and lush texture made it a favored base for perfumes. It not only provided a delightful aroma, but also acted as a fixative, allowing the fragrance to linger longer on the skin. Imagine a noble person slowly preparing for a grand banquet, their skin anointed with honey-infused oils, leaving a subtle trail of scent that wafts through the air as they glide into the room. Such elegance was not just about the visual. It was an experience meant to be savored by everyone present. One particularly enchanting aspect of honey and perfumery lies in how it captured the essence of nature. Honey was often combined with ingredients like myrrh, frankincense, and flower essences such as jasmine and lotus to create unique fragrances. The sweet notes of honey harmonize beautifully with these more robust aromas, allowing wearers to evoke a sense of allure and mystery. Can you picture the soft smiles of companions exchanging compliments as they caught whiffs of these heavenly scents? Interestingly enough, The ancient Egyptians believed that the right fragrance could influence emotions and create an atmosphere of love and positivity. Thus, honey-infused perfumes were often used in various rituals, from weddings to festivals. Imagine priestesses wearing these magical scents during sacred ceremonies, their mere presence imbued with not only aroma, but also a potent connection to the divine. Just think of how such settings must have radiated warmth, love, and serenity. Historians still ponder over precise recipes and techniques used by ancient perfumers, sparking a sense of curiosity surrounding their methods. Were there particular combinations cherished only by the elite, while simpler mixtures served the common folk? It's a whimsical thought, envisioning layers of scent as varied as the society itself, a tapestry woven with aromatic threads, each contributing to the symphony of their lives. As you soak in this richly scented narrative, consider how honey functioned as a bridge between beauty, spirituality, and social order within ancient Egypt. Its allure extended far beyond serving as a mere sweetener. Instead, it defined cultural and personal identity, creating the very essence of their collective memory. Now, let's shift our focus to the underlying symbolism of honey within the broader context of Egyptian society, reflecting how this seemingly simple substance wove together notions of power, mythology, and community. We will explore the significance of honey in the belief systems that permeated their everyday lives, defining their perceptions of nature and the divine. As we delve into the rich symbolism that honey carried within ancient Egyptian culture, picture yourself in a sun-kissed garden, surrounded by lush greenery and vibrant wildflowers swaying gently in the breeze. The very essence of nature intertwined with the beliefs and traditions of society that revered honey for its sweetness, but also for its deeper meanings. Each droplet of honey was imbued with layers of significance, linking it to concepts of fertility, prosperity, and renewal. Honey was often viewed as a representation of the sun, the ultimate source of life and nourishment. The Egyptians believed that just as the sun's rays brought warmth and growth, honey brought sweetness and vitality to their daily existence. Imagine ancient farmers tending to their fields, filled with gratitude as they harvested crops that thrived under the warm embrace of sunlight, with honey symbolizing the bounty they hoped to reap. The connection was as natural as bees buzzing joyfully about, weaving through the blossoms, beckoning life with their industrious presence. The symbolism of honey extended into the realm of fertility as well. It was seen as a sacred blessing, often utilized in rituals and blessings to encourage abundance in land and family. Picture a community gathering for a wedding ceremony, where honey is a prominent element in the meal, signifying hope and prosperity for the newlyweds as they embark on their journey together. Such moments must have echoed with laughter and joy, infused with sweetness as honey ushered in celebrations of love and unity. On a more whimsical note, the Egyptians also linked honey with the divine presence of bees, considering them to be messengers from the gods. The labor of bees mirrored that of the hard-working people of Egypt, forming a symbiotic relationship. Can you imagine children marveling as they watched bees busily flying back and forth, while parents shared stories that imbued these creatures with mythical qualities? They became symbols of devotion, productivity, and harmony, an enchanting aspect of their interconnected lives. Historians still debate whether these associations of bees and honey were explicitly acknowledged in religious texts or if they evolved through oral traditions. Regardless, it's clear that honey's presence permeated the spiritual beliefs that enveloped ancient Egyptian life. Just picture how an ordinary jar of honey became something more than a condiment. It became a vessel of spirituality, embodying the essence of nature, community, and cultural identity. As we swirl through these notions of spiritual symbolism, keep in mind that honey was not just a symbol but an active player in illuminating values that defined the Egyptian way of life: appreciation of the sun, a celebration of fertility, and a connection to nature. Each taste of honey certainly held the potential to spark happiness and gratitude for the blessings around them. Now that we've indulged our senses in the symbolic depth of honey, let's turn our attention to the modern legacy of this ancient practice. As we explore its contemporary relevance, consider how the historical insights we've gathered might resonate in our modern world today. What threads connect us still to those in ancient times who flourished with honey's radiant touch? As we transition from the ancient realms of honey into modern reflections, let's embrace the sweetness of how this age-old substance continues to thrive in today's world. Imagine yourself standing in a local farmer's market, where jars of honey gleam like amber treasures, eliciting the same allure that captivated the Egyptians thousands of years ago. Honey's legacy endures, connecting us to a rich historical tapestry, encapsulating health, cuisine, and community across the ages. In contemporary life, we find that honey has transcended its role from a simple sweetener to a celebrated superfood, much in a way that ancient Egyptians revered its health benefits. People today extol its antibacterial and anti-inflammatory properties, integrating it into their daily routines. Can you envision health enthusiasts starting their mornings with warm water and honey, just as the Egyptians may have mixed honey with herbal remedies to invigorate their spirits? This blend of natural wisdom echoes throughout the centuries, weaving a familiarity that feels both comforting and empowering. Moreover, honey has found its way into modern gastronomy, echoing recipes and techniques rooted in ancient traditions. Imagine culinary experts creating gourmet dishes that channel the flavors of history, infusing honey into sauces, glazes, and marinades. Just as the ancient Egyptians enjoyed honey with savory and sweet, contemporary chefs playfully blend the two, creating innovative flavors that tantalize the palate. Picture incidents of unexpected honey drizzles, enhancing your favorite dishes, turning a simple roast into a sumptuous feast worthy of reminiscence to the banquets of old. Interestingly, the renewed fascination with local, artisanal honey mirrors the ancient practices of beekeeping that flourish in Egypt. Local beekeepers, much like their ancient counterparts, celebrate the nuance of flavors crafted by the flora unique to their regions. Many of today's consumers are motivated by the desire to support sustainable farming practices, opting for raw honey that boasts a connection to both the land and the community. Can you feel the genuine appreciation that arises when you purchase honey directly from a local source, knowing that you're celebrating the legacy of an art cultivated for millennia? On a lighter note, the modern revival of ancient recipes often leads to amusing moments in contemporary kitchens. Picture families experimenting with honey, creating concoctions that spark laughter and delight, channeling both the wisdom of the past and a pinch of playful innovation. Who would have thought that honey, that sweet, sticky substance, could bridge the gap between generations? It brings grandparents and grandchildren together as they bond over shared recipes that stand the test of time. While honey's role in contemporary wellness and culinary arts is vibrant, historians still debate the depth of honey's significance in ancient Egyptian society and how much of that has informed its ongoing legacy. Does the way we treat honey today resonate with how it was perceived back then, or has it transformed over time? This question of continuity and change is a gentle reminder of our evolving relationship with nature and tradition. As the layers of history and modernity intertwine, consider how honey reflects our collective journey. It binds people, communities, and cultures in pursuit of sweetness, nourishing the body and soul. The threads of connection grow intricate, yet strikingly familiar as we partake in this delightful substance, reminiscent of the lives lived beneath the watchful gaze of the sun in ancient Egypt. Now, let's turn our gaze to the cultural exchange facilitated by honey. We'll explore how this golden substance has traveled across civilizations, influencing culinary practices and traditions in unexpected ways, while continuing its sweet legacy toward building bonds of community and understanding. As we explore the world of cultural exchange facilitated by honey, picture yourself standing at a bustling crossroads, a melting pot where various cultures meet and share their culinary treasures. Honey, revered by Egyptians for its sweetness and healing properties, traveled far beyond the borders of this ancient civilization, influencing palates, practices, and traditions in diverse societies around the globe. It's fascinating to consider how this simple substance became a universal symbol of abundance and generosity, weaving its way through the fabric of human experience. As trade routes expanded and cultures intertwined, honey made its way to the Mediterranean and beyond. Imagine merchants traveling by land and sea, transporting jars of honey alongside spices, gold, and other precious goods. Each shipment carried not just a physical substance, but also stories, traditions, and connections across distant lands. Honey would find its way into the culinary traditions of the Greeks, Romans, and later into the recipes of the Middle East, each society adapting it to their tastes and customs. In ancient Greece, honey was praised by poets and philosophers alike. Think of Homer singing its praises, calling it nectar of the gods. It was used not just as a sweetener, but also in medicinal concoctions, much like its Egyptian counterparts. Can you imagine Greek physicians experimenting with honey as they sought remedies for their patients? Similarly, in Islamic cultures, honey was lauded for its virtues and considered a healing power. The teachings of the Prophet Muhammad often extol honey, intertwining it with spiritual beliefs while highlighting its health benefits. Imagine how Islamic scholars, inspired by earlier Egyptian practices, revered honey as they documented its properties, contributing to its rich legacy. This transcultural appreciation further demonstrates honey's universal appeal. It transcended borders, beliefs, and traditions. However, let's not forget some of the more whimsical paths honey has taken across different regions. Different cultures have developed unique uses and interpretations for honey, from mead-making traditions that emerged in Northern Europe, which transformed fermented honey into a celebratory beverage, to the delightful honey sesame candies from Asian cuisines that capture the essence of sweetness in innovative forms. Imagine a festival atmosphere where flavors from each region come together, creating a harmonious blend of cultures, all revolving around the simple yet profound nature of honey. Historians still engage in debate about honey's importance across various societies, pondering whether its significance shifted as it moved from one culture to another. How did local customs shape the way honey was enjoyed? Regardless of speculations, it's evident that honey has become a connector of people, a means of building community, celebrating shared heritage, and solidifying bonds through the act of sharing sweetness. As you explore this colorful tapestry of honey's cross-cultural journey, take a moment to reflect on how it continues to bind us through shared ideas and customs today. In this globalized world, the diverse experiences surrounding honey's use remind us of the vast culinary landscape as we enjoy golden drizzles of nectar in our foods, establishing connections between generations and cultures. With this interconnectedness in mind, let's draw our narrative to a close by examining how honey's historical significance impacts our modern understanding of tradition, well-being, and community. We'll gently revisit the journey we've taken, exploring the lessons we might carry forward into our own lives. As we draw near to the culmination of our honey journey through time, let's take a moment to reflect on profound ways in which the historical significance of honey continues to shape our understanding of tradition, well-being, and community in the modern era. Picture yourself basking in sunlight, jar of honey in hand, contemplating the many layers that this simple substance embodies, each layer rich with stories, culture, and wisdom. From its revered place in ancient Egyptian society to its widespread influence across cultures throughout history, honey has consistently served as a symbol of life, love, and vitality. It is fascinating to realize how this golden nectar has transcended time, evolving from a mere food source into a beloved community connector, where commerce, philanthropy, and culinary delights intertwine. In contemporary life, honey still embodies the essence of care and compassion. When we offer a jar of honey to friends or family, it serves as a gesture of goodwill, much like the ancient Egyptians offered honey to their deities and each other, representing abundance in relationships. Many people continue to carry on the tradition of sharing honey during celebrations. Something as simple as inviting neighbors over for tea, accompanied by honey pastries, demonstrates how deeply rooted this gesture of hospitality is in cultures across the globe. It's also important to recognize that honey has found a beloved place in health and wellness discussions today. With the rise of interest in natural remedies, the awareness of honey's medicinal properties harkens back to those ancient days of Egyptian healers who harnessed its power with so much reverence. You can imagine the surprise on faces as families gather in kitchens, blending honey with ginger and lemon. Simple, natural flavors reminiscent of those ancient healing traditions that continue to flourish today. Moreover, as we navigate the complexities of modern living, honey reminds us of the importance of simplicity and health in our day-to-day lives. The revival of local farming and the push for sustainability echoes the ancient practices of beekeeping that were crucial to Egyptian culture. In choosing local honey, we honor our connection to nature and the effort put forth by local beekeepers, a nod to the harmony between humans and nature maintained over millennia. Historians still debate the future implications of honey in our society, pondering how this sweet substance might continue to evolve alongside our growing concerns for sustainability, health, and community. Will honey persist as a cultural staple across generations, or may it transform into something entirely new? One thing remains certain. Honey will always carry a history rich with wisdom as we extract valuable lessons from it. As you take this moment to reflect on the honey that has nourished and sweetened civilizations through time, envision how its legacy nurtures connections today. Consider the joy it brings from family dinners to community gatherings, interweaving the threads of kindness, love, and unity. Honey bridges a gap between people, cultures, and eras, an eternal reminder of sweetness in both life and love. With this understanding, let us slow our pace as we conclude our narrative journey into the sweet history of honey. Take a deep breath, welcoming the comfort of its presence in our lives today and recognizing it as a gentle, nourishing embrace that surrounds us all, connecting us to those ancient Egyptians who revered it so dearly. As we reach the final leg of our soothing exploration of honey's enchanting history, take a moment to let the warmth of what you've learned settle within you. Let it swirl around like the sweet aroma of honey wafting through a sunlit room, gently evoking feelings of calm and contentment. Recall how honey has not only transcended time, but has also brought together communities, transformed culinary practices, and served as a bridge to our collective past. Imagine the ancient Egyptians, with their bustling markets filled with the vibrant colors of goods, laughter, and the sweet scent of honey lingering in the air. Their relationship with this golden nectar was multifaceted, extending beyond mere flavor to embody a reverence for health, community, and divine connection. Each ritual, each meal, and perhaps even every simple moment shared over honey demonstrated an enduring appreciation for its bounty. In our modern context, as you sip chamomile tea sweetened just right with honey, you're participating in a timeless tradition that resonates with the echoes of ancient civilizations. There's something undeniably comforting about the act of drizzling honey into a warm drink, reminiscent of how ancient healers utilized it to soothe their patients, and how families brought sweetness to their tables. It's a practice that brings you closer to those who came before us. As you nestle into a cozy spot tonight, allow yourself to drift into dreams where the threads of time weave together. The humming bees buzzing among the blooming flowers, the sun shining down on a child enjoying sweet honey drizzled over bread, and the serene whispers of healers prescribing honey as an age-old remedy. In those dreams, you're reminded that sweetness is a vital aspect of life, a reminder to savor the small moments that bring us joy. Now, as gentle as a whisper, allow the stories of honey, its history, its uses, and the connections it has fostered to envelop you like a warm embrace. Just as the ancient Egyptians understood that honey was more than just a substance, remember that it serves as a reminder to celebrate life, nature, and community in the complexities of today's world. So, as you let go of the day's worries and prepare for rest, find solace in knowing that the legacy of honey will continue to thrive, shaping our moment of happiness and health just as it has throughout countless generations. Embrace the rich tapestry of history that unfolds with each drop, and allow the sweet essence of honey to guide you into a peaceful night's sleep.